Welcome, gamers. I am MonriaTitans. Did I really just mess up my own username? MonriaTitans, the host of the weekend game show where I educate on and discuss different aspects of game development to show why video games can take years to make to prevent another Cyberpunk 2077 scenario. Huh. Switching the pixel chat captions to my phone. I'm loving this so far. Welcome to another Let's Read Some Shit video where I read aloud portions, emphasis on portions, for DMCA and copyright reasons of a couple of books regarding video games, their creation, their impact on the world to show the legitimacy of video games as an artistic medium and or whatever I feel like reading at the time. In addition, I also hope to promote literacy as a whole. I also provide artist shoutouts to human artists to combat AI art theft. All of them can be seen on the Become Empowered Instagram, all one word, one E in the middle. All rights reserved by the artist. Hashtag create, don't scrape. Really? What's wrong with scrape? Anyway, if this is something you're interested in, then you can find the other videos on my YouTube channel under the handle at MonriaTitans-WGS, and also on Buy Me a Coffee, where educational quotes regarding video games and literacy are shared along with the artist shoutouts. Lastly, if you tip through Buy Me a Coffee, 15% of the proceeds minimum goes to Kids Need to Read, whose mission is to help children discover the joy of reading and the power of a literate mind. Speaking of artist shoutouts, there isn't one today. I only do artist shoutouts on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Today is what? Friday, so no artist shoutout. Alright, so I'm loving having Pixel Chat on the phone. This is, so much easier. I can actually walk around and talk and read. Oh, this is great. Alright, with that out the way, let's get to Did it work? Yes, it did. Okay. Did it work? I think I'm speaking too fast for my phone. There is a setting within it that I can teach it to pick up on me more easily. When I initially did this, I wasn't talking as fast. So, 1-800, my bad. Moving on. So, these tend to go about an hour-ish, and they go as follows. I read the summary on the back of the book, if applicable. I read the foreword and preface, if applicable. If there is no introduction, read part of the first chapter. So today I'll be reading portions of the Viking Art of War by Paddy Griffith and the Ultimate Concept Art Career Guide, published by 3dtotal Publishing. I fucking love them so much. I'm not gonna get into that right now. They will be afterwards. So, again, I will only be reading portions for DMCA and copyright reasons. So, the Viking Art of War. Is there a summary on the back? Technically, no. But on the back, it says the Viking Art of War, an authoritative, groundbreaking. Brain is moving too fast for mouth. Groundbreaking work that explodes the myths and establishes the facts about the violent era of Viking marauders. I mean, I believe it. It's the Vikings. The summary is actually on the inside cover. Of all the warrior cultures in history, few had as fierce a reputation as the Vikings, the mysterious, seafaring Norsemen who ravaged, conquered, and explored lands from near Asia to the New World. During the early medieval period, nothing could strike as much fear among Oh, right, I can't. All right. Whoops. Yeah, I can't let the screen go black on my phone. Where was I? So, Norsemen who ravaged, conquered, and explored lands from near Asia to the New World. During the early medieval period, nothing could strike as much fear among sedentary peoples as the sight of a Viking fleet suddenly rising over the horizon. Their distinctive, dragon decorated longships intent on delivering mayhem. Dragon decorated. There we go. Yet the actual facts about the Vikings' era of rampage have been elusive and their actual method of warfare unclear. Now, this brown groundbreaking and authoritative study of the Vikings establishes the facts behind their rise to prominence and cuts away the myths that have built up about their military and seafaring skills, reputation, and exploits. In this book, renowned military historian Paddy Griffith applies modern military thinking to his incisive examination of the Viking art of war while examining their tactics, seamanship, mobility, strategy, concept of battle, and how they exploited their victories and dealt with defeat. He also examines how threatened populations sought to cope with the raiders, and how capricious weather at times wreaked more havoc on Viking fleets than did their human foes. In these pages, Griffith demonstrates just how the Vikings were able to establish colonies and hostile territories while confronting an enormously diverse range of enemies, from the Franks of the Carolingian Empire and the Anglo-Saxons to the Bulgars and the wild tribes of Ireland. Across 3 centuries of military conquest, battle, and adventure. Carefully separating historical truth from legend while closely examining the sometimes fanciful sagas of the Norsemen themselves, this stimulating investigation into the secrets of the Vikings' success shows how they earned their fearsome reputation throughout the world. Well, damn. This book is dedicated in sadness to the memory of Paul Morris. Alright, so they got a glossary, list of tables and figures. I'm tempted to read out the glossary, but I can already feel the dopamine being sucked out of me thinking about it. Alright, preface. Preface. This book is intended to examine what we know of Viking warfare using the methods of modern military analysis. Such an undertaking has been applied to Roman strategy by several authors during the past quarter century, but not to that of the Vikings. The reason for this imbalance is doubtless that we know a great deal more about the Romans, who are also generally considered to have been more important to the development of Western civilization as a whole. They regarded Scandinavia as no more than a barbarian backwater and were content to leave it well beyond their horizon, whereas the Vikings would later visit such places as Rome and Byzantium with feelings of humility and awe. Byzantium. It is nevertheless an embarrassing fact that we know very little about the Viking art of war, and much of our perception of it has been formed by the spurious imaginings of post Viking writers and artists who have had little actual evidence, if any, to guide them. Firm evidence is indeed appallingly scanty, and there is in truth little realistic alternative to spurious imaginings for many aspects of the subject. We may be able to demonstrate that some parts of the popular image are false. For example, the Vikings did not wear horned helmets, and there was no such thing as a blood eagle. But we do not have much that is solid to put in their place. We know a little about where the Viking armies wandered, but almost nothing about their operational or tactical methods. Almost all of what we are left with is the purest guesswork. In writing this book, I am particularly indebted to Ian Greenwood, who focused my attention sharply onto Dark Age subjects when he set up the innovative Guthrum's Army magazine, historiographical experiment, and investigative experience, including a very productive conference in 1983. This was all centered on the Anglo-Saxon Wars of 865 to 79, and anything in the present book that is related even remotely to that subject can be attributed directly to Ian and his collaborators. For me, he has indeed been a strong creative influence, not only for his insights into historiographical method, but also for many vital technical aspects of the subject itself. He also sent me many useful texts for the present volume, and above all, he introduced me to the late Paul Morris, to whose memory the present work is respectfully dedicated, and who, had he been spared, would surely have made a far better fist of this whole thing than I possibly can. As an undergraduate, I first encountered academic study of this era when I sat in awe at the feet of the late Trevor and Aston. Late Trevor Aston, whose brand of scholarly, dry humor still remains an inspiration. Others who have given me significant help more recently include Peter Bone and Simon Davies, who both offered me free access to their extensive funds of expertise, cogitation, and practical experience of Viking Age artifacts. Matthew Bennett equally has been a wonderful source of information and ideas. John Davis, Guy Halsell, Heinrich Hark, Jim Roch, and Peter Thompson have also each, in their own way, taught me important things about the subject. While Nigel DeLee, in particular, has not only fed me with Viking perspectives over many years, but has also showered me with dozens of translated sagas to help in the writing of this book. I apologize deeply to him for not having recognized the sagas as genuine military literature during my 1980 conference on this subject, but I do not at all apologize to my family for attempting, in the course of 1994, to explain the rambling but subtle Viking jokes that are contained within the sagas. My behavior in that area, I'm afraid, as they have themselves already concluded, is just something they will have to live with. I am also very grateful for the professional efforts on my behalf of the RMA Sandhurst, Nuneaton Borough, and Birmingham Central Libraries. Needless to say, however, none of these persons or institutions is in any way responsible for what I have chosen to put in the present work, since all the mistakes are entirely my own. Finally, I am extremely grateful to my late parents for taking me round the Norwegian ship and folk museums while I was merely 10 years old. Without that early experience, I do not think I would have been interested at all. Paddy Griffith. Noon Eaton, 1995. Okay, so part of chapter 1. A military analysis of the Vikings. Quote at the top, you can't run a croft without a second source of income. Now I regret not reading the glossary. Is croft up in here? Oh, no it is not, so never mind. Jim Webster in conversation with the author. The Vikings defined. Just what do we mean by the expression the Vikings? In terms of strictly linguistic origins, they were initially defined as sea pirates, and in some of the Icelandic sagas, we find raiding Wends, Esthonians, and Slavs described just as easily as Vikings, as were the Danes, Norwegians, and Swedes. Elsewhere, the word is used for any individual thief or racketeer, as in an errant thief and a Viking. Saga of Gunnlaug, which is apparently on page 34. Or Vikings and outlaws, and all the rogues he could muster, i.e. Ulfkill the Wizard in 7 Viking Romances, page 182. They are often equated in turn with berserks or frenzied warriors. Berserks are discussed at length in chapter 5. Elsewhere, again, however, a Viking is taken to be a much more honorable type of operator, either a merchant adventurer or a soldier. According to these definitions, not all Scandinavians should be considered as Vikings, since only a minority of the population indulged in robbery, warfare, extortion, or trade, and still fewer did so on a full-time basis. Women, children, and senior citizens presumably did not go a Viking, although in the literature we do find some surprisingly young noble boys turning up as participants in, or even directors of, pillaging expeditions. The provocative role of women as the aggravators of male bellicosity is also a recurrent theme of the sagas. And there are even some genuine Amazons. Ooh, so we should not perhaps dismiss them too easily from participation in the Viking process. And as for the old, we find that the mighty pirate poet Egil Skallagrimsson could still credibly be suspected by committing a double murder even when in his 80s and blind. Egil, page 237. Indeed, in Laxdœla Saga, page 78, killer Hrap manages to murder quite a large number of people even after he himself died. Huh? Okay. What, did he spread a disease? Oh well. Modern usage, however, mercifully cuts through some semantic perplexities and simply equates the Vikings with all the inhabitants of Scandinavia and all ethnic Scandinavians wherever in the world they may have happened to be settled. Wherever in the world they may happen to be settled. Hence, an Icelandic farmer's wife living in Newfoundland would qualify as a Viking just as much as a Danish poet in Dublin or a Swedish mercenary soldier in Constantinople. Although, of course, by no means all Dublin poets or Varangian guards were necessarily ethnically Scandinavian. So far, this is simple enough, but we should remember that Scandinavia itself was a far more homogeneous unit. For a long time, it was divided into very many culturally separate districts, ruled by warring minor kings, which merged only gradually and painfully into a series of larger provinces or more major kingdoms. I hate when they do the hyphen of the word going into the next line. Where was I? Provinces or more major kingdoms. There we go. These, in turn, eventually crystallized at a very uneven pace into rough equivalents of the unified nation states that are today called Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Pairs of these states were occasionally consolidated into larger empires for a few fleeting moments during the Middle Ages, but such empires usually also included some far-flung colonies run by a mixture of immigrants from all parts of Scandinavia. In the Icelandic sagas, there is certainly a good deal of pride expressed in the sheer geographical extent of Viking influence, and some of the heroes seem to move around almost as freely as the eastern Mediterranean to the White Sea, from Scandinavia to Greenland, or from Ireland to western France, as we might do today with the full benefit of air transport. Clearly, the idea of a Viking world did enjoy a certain validity at the time, even though the concept of an empire as such may well have been inappropriately premature. Huh. And that is part of chapter 1. I'm going to end it there for the Viking Art of War. I will definitely be coming back to that to just read for the hell of it. Hell of it. Thank you. Alright, now, onwards to the Ultimate Concept Art Career Guide. There is a bit of a summary on the back. The Ultimate Concept Art Career Guide. Carve your path to the existing world of concept art. The Ultimate Concept Art Career Guide is an expert-led handbook to help you launch, sustain, and evolve a career as an artist in the entertainment industry, with helpful insights and encouragement from experienced freelance artists and leading industry professionals. Learn how to create a winning portfolio, develop your online presence, and handle the ups and downs of an art career, incorporating education and training suggestions, interview tips, and best practice advice. This guide is ideal preparation for anyone wanting to develop a career as a professional concept artist, an artist hoping to explore new career options, or considering freelance work. There is finally a quote on the inside cover. There is finally a book to help artists around the world understand and pursue a career as a concept artist. James Pyack? Or is that Pack? I did not notice the screen on my phone went black. So, the quote on the inside cover. There is finally a book to help artists around the world understand and pursue a career as a concept artist. James Pyack or Pack? Alright. The Ultimate Concept Art Career Guide is a great resource for anyone who is considering or planning a career as a serious concept artist. This guide breaks down valuable information that I would have found tremendously helpful during the early and even more recent phases of my career. Information about education choices, goal setting, applying for jobs, and preparing a portfolio give you a valuable insight into how the featured artists got to where they are today. This is a powerful and very informative book to help guide and focus you on the opportunities available for potential concept artists around the world. I highly recommend this book to any artist aspiring to a career in concept art and design. James, I hope I'm not butchering it, Pack. Creative director and concept artist at Scribblepad Studios. Ooh, this is probably a good thing to read. Alright, so the information and advice in this book have been provided in good faith as a guide and do not represent a guarantee of career success or an endorsement of any particular lifestyle by 3dtotal Publishing. Future options. Alright, about this book. Although concept art is a relatively new field in the creative industries, why is the writing so small? It is a quickly evolving area of expertise, offering enormous opportunities to develop an art career in a wide variety of specialties. For anyone considering a career in the exciting and varied world of concept art, it may at first seem that there is an overwhelming amount of information to learn and many decisions to make. This book is intended to help you navigate those decisions so you can make informed choices about your future. Throughout this book, you will find insightful career profiles from professional concept artists that outline their daily working habits and describe how they built successful creative careers. Regardless of the career stage you are at, whether the idea of concept art as a career option is new to you, whether you are a student or already on your way to building a career as a concept artist, this book provides valuable advice on how to achieve your career goals. The content of this book has been broken into 4 distinct sections: an introduction to concept art, getting into concept art, working in the industry, and future options. To ensure you can easily find information relating to the career stage most relevant to you, I'm at the beginning. If you have only recently been introduced to the notion of a concept art career, it is highly recommended that you start with an introduction to concept art, which will provide you with an introduction to concept art as a career choice. In this section, you can learn about the key industries that concept artists are employed in, the tools and software that are commonly used, and the production process of a project. In the second section, getting into concept art, you can find information on the education options available to concept artists, advice on how to develop your skills, and ways to present yourself as a strong candidate to employers. Plus, learn how to create a successful CV, portfolio, and promotional materials. Through the working in the industry section, you can discover how concept artists work, learn how you can manage your time as a professional artist, develop your work through critiques, experience professional artists' advice on how you can form good working habits that will enable your career to grow. Here you will gain an understanding of what life as a professional concept artist can be like. In the final section of the book, Future Options, you can explore additional ways to supplement your career once you have become an experienced concept artist. In this section, you can learn about the advantages and disadvantages of freelance work and how to develop a freelance career if you choose this route. You can also find advice on selling your work through online retailers, creating your own online shop, and other ways you can enrich your income. I mean, this book has been sitting on my shelf for forever. My butt should have read this sooner. Alright. An introduction to concept art. Concept art is a relatively new career option, so compared to other creative occupations, there is limited information available about what a concept artist does and how they are employed. As a result, this career choice can often seem mysterious and confusing. In this section, you will learn what a concept artist is, the industries they are employed in, and how they fit into the wider production process of a project. I imagine there's a starting point, right? That was my understanding. All right. Either for Prelude. Okay. So I'm going to read this page. Oh, look at that. We're only 30 minutes in. Cool. Then this video won't be too long. Like I said, normally about an hour-ish. So, what is a concept artist by Jan Urschel? I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Urschel. Working professionally as a concept artist is becoming increasingly popular, but it is often misunderstood. Starting your career with accurate expectations and appropriate preparation can set you up for success from the beginning. This guide will help you on your journey, but initially you need to understand what concept art is and what a concept artist does. Overview. Concept art, or concept design, as it can also be known, is understood as the visualization of ideas which currently only exist as written words or thoughts in someone's head. For example, if a film director wants a haunting, desolate sci-fi background as one of the environments that will be incorporated into a movie, a concept artist or team of concept artists would produce an artistic impression of that environment brief in order to provide a visual guide for the production artists who will actually create that environment later on. These production artists could be 3D modelers if a 3D environment is required, or set designers if a physical environment will be created. In order to transform these ideas into images that others can see and comprehend, you have to develop various skills which can be used at different points of the process. However, the general process itself does not differ greatly from other design disciplines. The concept art process tends to occur as shown in the flowchart to the left, and I will describe it to you. Research, ideation, sketches, refinement, final concept. Sectors. As you will learn more about on pages 22 to 25, there are 4 key industries concept artists can be found in. The video game, film, TV, and animation industries. Within those industries, concept artists will often focus on a specific category of concept art: characters, environments, and more mechanical design. Within these categories, though, there is a level of flexibility expected as areas overlap depending on the creative vision being followed. Since concept art is a relatively new practice, you will find that many people working Screen went black again. Since concept art is a relatively new practice, you will find that many people working in the field today studied different courses, attended a variety of universities, and have experienced many other disciplines before taking a concept art role. This diversity of experience has shaped the jobs of today, and you will find people with backgrounds in fine arts, illustration, graphic design, transportation design, and product design working in concept art. That makes sense. On top of this is a new generation of artists who have not necessarily gone through a formal art or design education to become respected artists in their industry. This flexibility comes with the expectation that concept artists can visualize almost any topic without being an expert in it, such as drawing an airplane without having detailed engineering knowledge. As a result, concept art can be a demanding field that requires constant learning. And I'm going to leave it there. And I'm also going to put a bookmark in it. Because I'm going to come back to this. And add it to my pile. And by pile, I mean putting the... because of my ADHD, I kind of jump around. And with my jumping around, I can't keep my attention on one book. So if I get bored with a book, but I still want to read it, I just hop to another book. I book hop, like I task hop. But that's it. This is what we've got for today. It only took about 36 minutes. Proud of myself. What am I doing? This. Alright, so thank you for being here today. Here are other things you can get to for... what's the word I'm looking for? Support. We got a MonriaTitans and WGS Bookshop. Now, all those exclamation points and commands, that's what you would be seeing if I was streaming. I'm going to have these links in the description so you don't have to go searching for it. Or I'll just have the link tree, whichever I feel like doing at the time. But yes, we have Ko-fis. We have 2 Ko-fis. And a Buy Me a Coffee, as I mentioned in the beginning. And I should probably explain more often why I do this. It's more to help me, not trying to confuse you. It's to help me. So if you want to help me boost the artist shoutouts to other platforms, and boosting, apparently by boost they means create an ad. Alright, fine. If they want to help me create ads to get more attention to the artists for these artist shoutouts, you leave a tip or donate to the Ko-fi.com artist shoutouts. If you want to help me buy stuff in my... well, right now the goal is to help me buy my Steam wishlist, which we're 15% of the way through. Thank you, Rescuers, who is also my uncle. And then we have Buy Me a Coffee, where that's for the literacy. A link to this after I export it to YouTube. Well, you'll find it there. Again, under the handle at MonriaTitans-WGS. And 15% of the proceeds at Buy Me a Coffee will go to Kids Need to Read. So, to help children discover the joy of reading and the power of a literate mind. And since this is my favorite affiliation, it gets its own slide. Bookshop.com/shop/WGS. I think. Why am I suddenly doubting myself? And with that, we come to an end. And we come to a close. Remember, we are gamers not because we don't have a life, but because we choose to have many, which can also be said of readers. If anyone asks you why you like video games, remind them a game is a problem-solving activity approached with a playful attitude, a quote by Jesse Schell. And if anyone gives you shit for your interest, tell them you may not like video games, but what I learned from them is this: no enemies in front of you means you are going the wrong way. Thank you for watching. I don't know why I have this as part of my closing. Because the only way you would be watching this is via YouTube, because I'm not streaming this. Habit, I suppose. May every decision you make in the future be in the spirit of fairness, and may the rest of your day not go to shit. See you next time.